Amor Fati. Go ahead.
Hey Beck, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Not too bad. Oh, hey guys, you can tell by my accent, I'm a migrant myself, and I just want to know about the March for Australia. So, to tell you a bit about myself, I think I'm a migrant who loves, I really love this country. So, when I came to Australia, I came for studies, and this country has given me so many opportunities. So, I love Australia, and I just want to respect and just abide by the rules in for this country that has made this country what it is. Um, I'm not a politician. I haven't been following so much politics, but I agree that we shouldn't import our politics into Australia. So that's why I just joined to ask a few questions if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
So my first question, there are people who say um, that the March for Australia is a racist movement. So what do you make of that?
I'd say there's definitely some racist people within the movement, but also the things that we are being called racist for aren't actual things that are racist. So, for example, highlighting per capita crime statistics, that's not racist to do that. To say that African gangs are out of control in Victoria, not racist to say it. It's a fact. But those are the things that we're being getting told that we're racist for, or for asking that everybody unite under the same one flag, being the Australian flag. We are told that that is racist because we are excluding the Indigenous flag, but that is not racist because, if anything, the Aboriginal flag being used at our events and being promoted as the only flag would be racist because it only caters to the Aboriginal people, not white Australians. Um, so yeah, I think that racism exists if you want to call every single thing racist. But I don't believe that our marches as a whole are racist. I believe that we are Australia first and Australia proud nationalists. And some people take that as racist, but I don't personally believe that it is.
Yeah, and I think I agree with you. If they call you racist for example, calling a gang what it is, I have called myself. If it doesn't hurt you guys, I'm African myself. You can tell by my accent. But I think I've called people by what they like. If it is an African person doing like a crime, that's not racist. And myself, I've called people what they are. If they're African and they're just, I was horrified by the video I saw in Melbourne, where two teenagers were just killed by this stupid, what appeared to be black, and I'm not gonna hide from this. Um, yeah, I think I agree with you on that on those points. And Australia, we should be united. And I think if you are being called racist for standing up for your country, uh, I don't, I don't see how is that racism. So another question is, Beck, can I ask another question if you don't mind?
Yeah, I'll just get, I think Jesse might have had something to say on your first question, and then, yeah, you can go for it with another one.
Yeah, so yeah, I do have something to add. So 100% March for Australia is a nationalist march, and it is labelled racism in today's society to fly Australian flags and be proud of our heritage and culture. But I think, and my speech highlighted it, my speech at the first march, that I think it's important to acknowledge and state and respect the fact that it was founded, settled, and built by Anglo-Saxons and Anglo-Celtic people. And that's the founding stock of this nation. That's who built it, and that's the reality of it. And people, they can call that racist all they like, but that is the reality of it. And so, for people like yourself, if you're here and you love this country, I mean, accepting that reality that that's the founding stock of this nation, and that should be the ultimate majority, and we should have control over the nation that our ancestors built. That's what March for Australia stands for.
Thank you so much, guys. And really, I'm humbled that you can answer my questions. So the other thing is, I'm proud myself to be Australian. I got my citizenship, and if I actually were to march for Australia as a migrant who has been lucky enough to be an Australian citizen, so I know there are a lot of migrants, for example, during the previous like March for Australia, who were so afraid. Should anyone be afraid that March for Australia like it's not for migrants? So if there's a migrant who feels like Australian, should they come to that march?
Okay, look, I'm going to answer this one, and I'm going to. It's probably going to be a slightly controversial answer, but I'm going to be as open and honest as possible. Okay, so please do not get offended. Me, as the national organizer, I will say that, yeah, you're allowed to come. Like, anybody is allowed to attend a March for Australia event so long as they are there for the right reasons. I cannot guarantee, however, though, that somebody else might come up to you and say, "You're not Australian. Why are you here?" I'm not saying they would do that, but I also can't guarantee that they won't do that. Um, Look, I think that if you if you respect what the march is for and you are living in Australia as an Australian citizen, then yeah, you're entitled to go wherever you like. Um, if I saw somebody targeting you, I would probably tell them to back the hell off. I wouldn't let you be abused at any of my events. Um, I understand why people were so scared to come. I saw many videos from an Indian lady saying, "Oh, everybody lock yourselves up indoors and keep yourself safe and stay away from the March for Australia because you're going to get bashed and you're going to get hurt and blah 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 blah." I think that was all a bunch of hype. I wouldn't be surprised if she was told to do that, to try and scare people away. Because the fact of the matter is, March for Australia organisers, or anybody that is directly involved has never once made any threats to the harm of migrants, or anyone else at all. We haven't banned anyone. We haven't told them that they can't attend. Um, I think the worst thing that we might have said, and that's me personally, I would have said, "Well, you won't ever be Australian," because I do believe that. I believe that you can be an Australian citizen, 100%. But for you, as an example, I would say, like, I will never look at you as a 100% Australian. I would look at you as an African Australian because you have an Australian citizenship. So look, I say that's probably the worst thing that's been said by any of the organisers, and it was said by me myself. But yeah, I think that, yeah, if you have the understanding of what the protest is for, um, show up. We had plenty of immigrants there last time. We had a lot of Southeast Asians. We had um, Lebanese people. We had heaps of different people of different races that were there to support the cause because they agree. Or people that have been born here, been here for generations, and have seen that now mass immigration is out of control, and they came to support the cause. So, yeah, look, I say if you want to come, then come. I personally, we mean no harm or anything to anyone at all. I can't, like I said, I can't speak for the actions of the tens of thousands of people that also went to events across Australia. But yeah, that's not what we're aiming to do in sort of thing. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you, Beck, for being honest. And please stop me. I don't want to just like take anyone like time if it other people want to ask questions. Um, and I'm never hurt by words. For example, like I think everyone should be free to say anything, like say anything. Just that's what the free speech is like. Therefore, people shouldn't be cancelled. I hate the cancel culture myself. So Beck, I think one last question. And I think the March for Australia, for me, it doesn't matter if you see me as an African Australian. I'm proud of my identity as a black man living in Australia. I really don't have any problem with that. And so the question I have for you, Beck, if you were to become the Australian Prime Minister today, how would you approach the Aboriginal like issue? So today, like this Beck is elected as the Prime Minister. How would you handle migration, um, Aboriginal? Like, what can you do like to unite Australia so that everyone who is in this country.
Can I just say, like, I mean, I think I'll let Beck answer that if she wants, but I think it's a little bit off topic. But can I just say, more with if you're going to be safe and welcome at the March for Australia rallies, Beck nailed it. You know that you can't control who goes there in a public space. But what I would suggest to you is don't be provocative. Like I see you've got your Heritage Nations flag in your bio, which is fine, but I wouldn't suggest you bringing that to the rally. You know, that would put a target on your back and be provocative. Like it would entice people to come up and attack you. You know what I mean? Like if you do decide, don't go and say provocative things in a megaphone and don't fly your foreign flag, stuff like that. That's my suggestion anyway, bro. So I don't
Thank
know,
you,
Beck, you can answer that other question if you want.
Thank you, Jess. And I can tell you, um, back home I was involved in politics, but I have encouraged people and told people Australia shouldn't be our political like battleground, like where we come with our opinion. Like I have really stayed away from politics. I don't want to just import my like Burundian, for example. I'm Burundian. That can import Burundian politics in Australia. There's a lot to learn about this country, this beautiful country. I'm more now like likely to learn about Australian politics rather than just importing African politics into Australia. So I think I have so many friends in Australia that I discuss my like political things like from back home. But I can tell you, if I were to show up, it will be too much for Australia, not just too much for Burundi or Africa or any other country. Um, uh, and I joined here just to ask those questions. So I'm sorry if I like went off topic, but it's with
No, you
intention.
yeah, no, you're fine. Look, I'll give like a quick brief type of answer to it.
Mm,
I was a little bit confused about some of what you meant, but in terms of Aboriginals, I class Aboriginals as Australians. So, um, yeah, I mean, they're here and they're here to stay. They are our, in my opinion, they're my people, but they're a different color scheme. So long as we are able to acknowledge that this is all of our land and they don't get any special handouts and we don't get any special handouts, I have no problem with Aboriginals being here. None at all. In terms of immigrants and living happily ever after, um, I've got my opinions on remigration. I think that, yeah, I don't think it can really be done in a safe, kind of fair way. However, I think deporting any criminal immigrants would be my starting point. And I would side with John Ruddick in the respect that I would want a complete immigration policy overhaul, start from the ground up, starting obviously with people that are more suitable and culturally appropriate to Australia so that we can keep our national identity because we are losing it very, very quick. And whilst doing that, have, yeah, the 5-year pause and start from scratch. And that's how I think I would do things.
thanks, guys. Thanks. I think you guys were not racist. If you can take like a black man's like questions, so I'm really impressed. So can I ask one more question if you guys don't mind?
Yeah, just a quick one
Yeah,
though, because we've got a couple of hands.
Okay, maybe I'll go after them.
I was going to say Central might have a good answer for your last one, for your last question as well, or more. So we'll go to Central.
Oh, awesome.
Well, I'm not gonna like Beck really did answer that awesomely. But I was just gonna say, like, let's face it, Beck's darker than half of the fellas that are, claiming that they're Aboriginal these days. You know, it's it's a bit of a fact.
Cheers, Central. We'll go to Racial Realist. I think he was next. Then we'll go to Matthew and Amor. If you've got another question after that, you can go for it then.
Just before you do that, I just wanted to address Amor, just reminding him that marching for Australia, this is our only country. There's no other country in the world that we would want to go to or move to or be a part of. This is it. Just so you know, that's what it means to us. We love this country. We love the people. We hate a government. That's one thing, but Everything about this country, everyone in this fucking room loves. Just so you know. So if you're willing to be a part of that, then by all means, rock up at the 19th, grab an Aussie flag, and get in line. It's going to be good. It's going to be a banger. Just letting you know.
That I'll just add to that as well, dead set. And I know you can't paint everyone with the same brush. More so, possibly you're an ideological exception to a lot of this, but I don't think there's no magic soil that makes people who move to Australia magically become Australian and act like an Australian. I mean, there's definitely efforts you can make to try, and are more like it sounds like you have done that, so good on you. But yeah, I don't think there's a magic soil that can make you Australian. The reason why Australia is so great and why people love it is because of the people who built it and the people who live here. If you replace the native population, the founding stock, it becomes something different. It's not what it used to be. You know what I mean? And I think that's important to acknowledge.
So,
Hello, test 1 2.
sorry, I'll go after. I think I see a lot of. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll go racial realist first because I think we interrupted him.
Yeah, no dramas, thank you. I just wanted to pop in the space while you're all here and say good on you for doing it. I went to the one in Perth, it was awesome. I say Bailey's in the space, so fucking well done, mate. And well done for getting the cops under control in WA. They are notorious cunts and they actually acted like human beings. The other thing I wanted to say was I'll just touch to that Fady fellow. I'm utterly 100% racist, mate. Most of the people who know me in this space know that I'm full-on racist. Yeah, you may be living here, mate. You may have a citizenship, but a bit of paper doesn't make you an Australian. And that's going to probably upset a few people saying that. But yeah, overall, thank you for doing the marches. Thank you for getting people galvanised and off their fucking asses. And I'll just say one thing that Jesse touched on about our identity. We are slowly losing our identity through the immigration. The Australia we live in today isn't the Australia we lived in 10 or 15 years ago. Thank you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate the input.
I think we could let him all respond to that as well if he wants to, and then we'll keep it moving.
Oh,
Yeah,
so,
go ahead.
Is it okay if I ask Rachel a question?
Yeah, go for it, mate.
So, when you say you are like racist, what do you mean by that? Are you like? Actually, I think we use the word like racism, like, but what do you mean by that, Rachel? If you don't mind.
Okay, I'm a National Socialist. Number one, what we use in common parlance is a Nazi. I believe that white countries are for white people. Blacks and browns have their own countries. They should stay there. Yes, you can come and visit, etc., etc. But why are you in our country? Why aren't you building opportunities in your own country? Why aren't you building up your own people? Because I see that Anglo-Saxon people built all the infrastructure here, and now others are coming in to take advantage of what we built. And I don't think any foreign group actually ever assimilates to Australia. They pretend to, but once they reach critical mass, then they start demanding we respect their traditions, their language, their culture, and we have to change for them rather than them assimilate with us. And I know some people will argue that, but the last 20 years especially has proven that theory to be true.
Rich, I think being a nationalist or loving your country should make you a racist, and loving your race should make you a racist. I think everyone should be proud of who they are. But I think if you say, I love what Beck said, that I'm an African Australian, that will always be my identity. But when you say, yeah, it gets tricky when you say that, um, I don't want to be controversial because the history of Australia and how it was built, because I know, like, for example, English migrants played a big role in building this country and making it what it is, and that's why many people are so proud of that, like, culture. But when you say,
Just stop you there though. It's settlers, not migrants. I'll just stop you there. Sorry, keep going.
Hang on, I'll just interrupt on that.
Yeah.
Call them what they were. They were convicts who built the country originally, and they were
Not
akin
all
to
convicts.
slaves. They were
Not
akin
all
to slaves.
South Australia was built on a non-convict colony.
When Australia first founded, they first landed in
South
Australia, it was all
Australia was
convicts.
built on a non-convict colony.
Elizabeth, if you're going to get up and just speak over people, you can get back down. If you've got something to say, put your hand up. And
Can I
yeah,
speak? Test 1 2. Can you hear me?
yeah, Matthew,
He
go
was
for it.
late for a
Yeah,
while. Yeah,
I've got
go.
a really crappy microphone, $6 from Officeworks, so I don't actually know if it works, but it seems to work.
Sounds all right.
Sounds all right. Yes,
Yeah,
I think
sounds
one of
good.
the things is like, you know, because they attack March for Australia because it's right wing, racist, evil, etc. And so, you know, that last speaker saying, you know, I'm racist and you're not Australian, you know, because, you know, a bit of paper doesn't make you Australian. British country, anyone of British origin, this is our, you know, we're all natives because it's fundamentally a British nation. But I think we're also fundamentally a left-wing country, and we need to focus as well as on mass immigration. I don't want to fork the movement or anything, but focus on assimilation because, like that guy before, he's African. He's proud of his African heritage, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. But he can also be a proud Australian as well because being Australian, it's not about like being anti-immigrant or anything. It's about just being Australian. It's just about having Australian values. So Australian values are easy. You just laid back, fair go, speak English, and he speaks English and he doesn't really have a good Aussie accent yet. But the more he stays in Australia, who have, you know, over time, who have a good Aussie accent, and that's really hard to fake. You know, whenever you hear like somebody trying to, like a Hollywood person trying to do an Australian accent, it's always really bad. Or Aussies that move overseas and they lose their accent, it's really sad. So basically, just focus on your accent, and that's all you have to be an Aussie. And I think one thing, just final point, is that on the left-right thing, is that I think we can look to the Denmark example. So Denmark is a very similar country to ours. They're a very left-wing country, wealthy country. They had mass immigration, and they had their left-wing, center-left government ran on assimilation because people weren't assimilate. Like people were, they had problems with their social systems. People who were coming in who weren't, who were culturally diverse, say, weren't sort of assimilating, and all their social systems were coming under strain because they didn't have Danish values. So they ran on adopt Danish values or leave to new immigrants, and they successfully won that election. So I just think try not to, you know, in terms of say, you know, it doesn't have to be right wing, doesn't have to be racist, doesn't have to be extremist. It can be left and center left and still win on the same sort of immigration, anti-mass immigration and assimilation. So that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah. No, thanks, mate. And I think this is a good example that you know, there's a few people in here with some slightly differing views and opinions, and maybe slightly different spectrums of the political. Slightly different levels on the political spectrum. But we're marching to end mass immigration here. That's the topic of March for Australia. We'll keep going to hands. We'll keep moving. But we got also, I think we're full as well. So if anyone's finished,
Can I just make a reaction if you guys don't mind?
Who's that?
I'm not assimilating to Islam, if that's what you're going to say.
Okay. So
I'll drop down, guys.
I was
I'll
going
drop
to
down.
ask Rachel if I keep coming to this like hypothetical like situation, like say if Rachel were like to become like you know, an Australian Prime Minister, for example, would you kick me out like the moment you get in?
Oh, absolutely. I would. Every non-white would go. Absolutely. The only people who'd say would be Aboriginals. I mean, they belong to the country. So of
you're
course,
saying that I better
but
pack my
everyone
bag.
else.
So
Yeah, fucking oath, mate. If I became PM, you'd be on my next boat, straight out of the country, as would all your brethren.
you're so funny, mate. But I love this. I love.
It's not funny, mate. I'm absolutely serious. You can treat it as a joke, but I'm almost 60 and I've seen the degradation of my country through immigration. I've seen our culture attacked, our culture being destroyed, our traditions being attacked, our traditions being destroyed, our values being attacked. I have seen so many attacks from the Australian people who open their heart and their country to immigrants only to be betrayed. So my stance is, no, you can all fuck right off back to where you come from. Go and make your own countries great. We don't need you, we don't want you, and we didn't ask you here. Australia was built by white people for white people in a story.
So it sounds like you're going to war, Mr. Ratio, sir.
It's not racist to hate black people.
It's not racist to hate. that's
Well,
that's extreme, mate.
Yeah,
Well,
you're
hold
extreme.
on, Okay, I can see things are going to get freaking messy now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I just wanted to change the subject a little bit back to what Matthew said, because something that he said kind of upset me a little bit. And maybe I'm being soft, I don't know, but having Australian values, having an Australian accent, having Australian beliefs, that does not make you an Australian. We are not a costume that can be worn, just the same as a guy can't cut their penis off and put a dress on and say, I am now a woman. That having an accent, having the same values doesn't make you an Australian. If you have come here from another country and you gain citizenship, you will still always just be an Australian citizen. You will never be an Australian. We are Australian.
He can be an
Indigenous
Australian
are
African.
Indigenous Australians.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can, yeah, he's at the moment, because he has citizenship paper, and I'm not saying that I agree with citizenship papers or whatever, but what I will say is that he is an African Australian, but he will never just be an Australian.
Yeah. Well, it's a British country, British systems, British origin. So, the British are the natives, but we have immigrants, and it's not all about, immigrants just need to assimilate. So, be Australian or have it go home, that kind of thing.
They're not funny. They're not
But
funny.
they don't.
so can you guys like let me be like Australian, like African Australian, keep me here, like don't make me like go back to Africa, like Rachel would.
All right, that's enough about this. All your questions are based on your own self-preservation. You're asking questions because you care about your own status. Yeah.
Yeah, and guys, we've got heaps of
No,
hands.
no.
Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. Whose hand? I think Central Poster was up, and then there was Kevin, Elizabeth, then Kevin, then Constant, and then
And
Antonia.
also,
Okay.
we've got nobody's take that is requesting a mic, and I would really, really, really love to hear him speak, and he knows why. So if anyone wants to jump down and free up a spot for him, I'd really, really appreciate that.
Kick me off. I'll jump back up later.
All right, go Central.
Well, yeah, I was just going to add that we've, especially myself, we've all had our own opinionated views in the past. But at the end of the day, the March for Australia things get so big that there are going to be different sections of the right. I've even noticed there are small parts of the centre left starting to get involved. So people's idea of mass immigration and how far of a solution or solutions may differ, but that's why we get up and have a multitude of diverse opinions as far as speakers are concerned. The more people that collectivise and get together and actually fight this thing as one movement, the better. Regardless of our own wants and needs, if that makes sense. I think it's fair to say that it's time to play peace, especially as far as the March for Australia is concerned. Without compromising, of course, because I'll touch on something that Beck said. A lot of people have a different idea of what the founding stock is, and from the research that I've done, we make up about 30% of the current population. Founding stock being between the First Fleet and I think it was 1920 that I was looking into. It's a very, very small chunk of today's population. And I'm not saying we should be the only ones here, but at the end of the day, we're the ones that very much get put last in today's public service system, and as far as actually being heard in local community councils, which is a big problem. I've actually been going to my local community council lately, and I'm one of the only community members going. We need to actually get together as communities as well as these state marches and tackle this thing together. And if that means you you've got to shake hands with someone that you used to call a CUNT or whatever, you know, you go for it, you know?
Yeah, 100% Central. Well said.
Getting Protect Edge for your
Elizabeth,
family
I
is one
think's
of the
been
best.
waiting a while, and then Constant, and then we'll go Nobody. Can't see the names. Yeah, all right, go Elizabeth.
Thanks for having me up. Amor Fati, I just want to say this again. I should have said it this way better. It's not racist to hate darkness. So many people come over to this country to help the Labor government so they can gain more votes. And I'm sick of it. I don't want them controlling the government anymore. I don't want them running Australia into the ground any further. I don't want to see people suffering anymore. I'm one of those people suffering at the moment. The government is hunting me and I'm not happy about it because I'm speaking up for Australia, for other countries. And I really don't care about this global anti-FATA bullshit that they're bringing over. It's remigration. It's not just immigration, it's remigration. And they want us to assimilate to what they want us to follow. And I'm not having it. I want my children safe. I want to be able to go to church and feel safe. I want to be able to go to the shop and feel safe. And I don't. My daughter is like maybe not maybe like half a kilometer away from a mosque because that's where the government put her, and I'm not happy about it. I'm done. I don't care what my race is, what my religion is. I care about the people that I share the country with. People have judged me in the last March for being Jewish and told me not to go, which was not fair because we are facing the same evil no matter where you put us on the bloody planet. Yeah, you can laugh. I really don't care, you freaking sicko. And I'm telling you now, if I was in government or whoever is in government that can make a change, I'm going to be pushing to have you guys deported. I'm not having terrorists on the soil. I'm going to land it there. Thanks for having me up again.
Yeah, okay. Thanks for your input. I'm not sure who's a terrorist. I know Antonio. So I think Kevin.
Amor Fati is a Muslim. He was sitting there laughing his damn head off because he knew
Fuck up and get out of here, you Jewish cunt.
I think what's his name? Kevin's had his hand up for a while. Then we'll go Antonio, Constant, then Nobody. Nobody's take.
You just told me that when
Cheers,
I was
bud.
speaking
Like,
just
I
before it
didn't
was
want to jump
crackly,
in.
who's
I'm
not sure if it was
probably
his
jumping
end
ahead of the
or
queue. I just wanted to
mine,
throw
so
in,
can you
like,
guys
look,
all hear me speaking clearly?
I'm a
Just
whitey. You know, if you turn the lights off, I probably glow in the dark. That's how fucking white I am. Last year, I went to, I work for myself. I haven't been employed by another business for a couple of years now. I look after myself. Last year, I took it upon myself to join one of the government, you know, skill programs. Come in, we'll help you, you know, use the internet, write a resume and all that shit. And I already knew how to write a resume and stuff, but I was like, you know, hey, if you can teach me something, I'll come in and learn it. So I went in, I met maybe half a dozen to a dozen like broken souls in Ipswich. One of them was a gentleman by the name of Lungo Ngezra. That's an Australian name, if any. He had fled from the Congo because he was a Christian man. He was 68 with a family, a black man, and he came to Australia because he was being persecuted in the Congo. He was feared for his life, so he came here and just wanted to make a fucking better life. I didn't give a fuck about what I did in the course because there was nothing that they really taught me. It was just a Centrelink fucking, you know, here's how you make a resume. Here's like the only thing they taught me how to do was use Bing fucking Chat GDP. But I taught this gentleman how to use the internet and how to make a resume, and like he has childcare skills and he can do all these sorts of things, and like he genuinely wanted to contribute to Australian society and be a part of the greater Australia, and that is what I feel is like, that's what I want in our country. I don't give a fuck what your color is. I don't care where you come from. It's just about the greater good. And do you want to come here and build something, or do you want to come here and tear it down? So yeah, that's all I wanted to contribute. But this is not a skin thing that we're doing on the 19th, man. This is all Australians. I don't care where you come from, how many generations you've been here. I'd probably prefer it if you haven't been here for 5 minutes. But even if you have, if you're Australian, I'm going to stand with you. Other than that, yeah, that's all I had to contribute. Keep on going, folks.
All right, thanks, Kev. Antonio was up, and then we'll go Constant, then Nobody's Take. And then Amour's up. Moore's got his hand up as well again.
Great, thank you, Jesse, Detset, and Beck. I just wanted to address a point made earlier by Matthew Clark. He really had, in my opinion, a psychotic, ridiculous answer saying that a person can become Australian simply if they adopt an Australian accent. Like a lot of the ISIS terrorists that went over to fight in the Middle East, you could argue some of them spoke with Australian accents. It doesn't mean they're Australian. There's this person, Amor Fadi, on the line. I hate to say this. This is from one immigrant to another because I wasn't even born here. I was born in South America. You will never be Australian. It's a cultural thing. It's a racial thing. It's 100, 200 years of history of the real Australian. So, in saying that, I just want to, for the crowd, I want to reaffirm what is a traditional Australian. It's an Anglo-Celtic person who believes in Western values and has Christian principles. That's it. If you don't fall into that category, if you're Hispanic like myself, you're Italian or Greek, you came after, look, you're not part of the founding stock. So just wanted to share that with everyone. And thank you so much, Beck Freedom, for organizing the march. I didn't go to the first one, but I'll be coming to this next one, and I'm really keen for it.
Can I just say, sorry, just to respond to that, I did say Aussie values. You need to adopt Aussie values and assimilate. What are Aussie values?
That's irrelevant.
You
if
just
we
said
get a
Western
billion
values,
Africans
so that's
into
the same
Australia,
thing, basically. I mean, not the
if
same
we get
thing.
a billion Africans to Australia and they adopt the Aussie values or they speak like Aussies, Australia will be destroyed. It's irrelevant.
Yeah, no, I agree with that too. But I'm just saying there are immigrants here, and this is not about telling immigrants to go home. We're not going to deport a whole bunch of people. It's about the immigrants that are here and they're here to contribute, and they want to feel safe too. They don't like crime. Well, they're good immigrants anyway, the good ones. You know.
No, this is phase one. Phase two is remigration. Deal with it.
Remigration. We're going to fly everybody home. That'll cost an absolute fortune. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah, like the ones that are here, like I don't care what your color is. You know, if you're Australian, like we can't do anything about the white stock in Australia. We're going to be bred out of existence in a generation, maybe two, if we don't pull our finger out of our fucking ass. But at the end of the day, like we're going to go. It's about the legacy that we leave behind. So, do you want to leave Australia in the hands of South African black cunts that are going to do what they're doing over there, or do you care whether they're whatever the color is in Australia, if they're promoting our culture and that lives on forever? Well, then I don't care what the stock is. Like that's up to you. Go find a girlfriend and breed like 5 kids, man. Other than that. That's all you can do at a personal level. Other than that, we just got to change the cultural shift.
All right,
What
we'll
a
keep it
cowardly
moving.
answer.
There's some interesting conversations going on. We got clearly some differing opinions in here. I've got my own opinions on it all, but we'll keep the conversation rolling to Constant, and then Nobody, and then Central's got his hand up again. So we'll see how we go.
Thanks. Yeah, so we're getting off topic. So that's the problem, like we said, when you metaphorically wave another flag at the protest, you know, at the march, you know, there's a lot of minority interests, you know, I'm not Burundian, you know, of Greek stock, and you one day, maybe, when Australians, when you speak to them and they tell you they can name 1, 2, 3, 5 relatives that died, you know, First World War, Second World War, wherever, you know, I can only look strangely like with a bit of envy at them when they say it, because I can't boast that. And you will never be able to boast that, because that is the founding stock. And it shouldn't be contentious at all to admit that, to acknowledge that. Now, what is racism and assimilation? And yeah, and sorry guys, I've got to say it because I don't think most of society we've been manipulated by the mainstream and all that, and Spielberg-esque, and racism. If I have an affinity for my own people, as you do with the Burundian people, I'm sure, share some sentiments that you don't share with me, being of Greek heritage, but today we call that racism. And certainly if you have a preference or show maybe a separate seat or maybe an opportunity to get a job, to someone that's of your tribe or of my tribe, is that racism? Because we know that different voting blocks do exist along ethnic lines, cultural lines, and racial lines. To deny that is, well, you tell me what it is. I mean, would you wish to attempt to deny that racial blocks exist in voting lines? Now, today in the modern talk, I'm surprised already they aren't telling us that assimilation is not a very racist word, because to assimilate means to lose everything of what you had and to become of the new. And so when our government today funds minority ethnic racial groups to maintain their language, their custom, this is divisive. This is against assimilation. And this is what we're witnessing today. And we had, I don't know if she was Burundian, Marsha Hines. She seemed to slip through just fine. She, some might argue, was an Aussie icon. But what we're experiencing today is large groups, and it's anything but assimilation. And the problem is migration in massive numbers. And this is the call cry. And yeah, and whether you or I, yeah, sure, there've always been Australians that, and if you grew up, I'm Boomer, if you grew up in the Australia I grew up in, I would have been referred to as the Wog. Now, I don't know what epithets they might have given you, but they surely would have had one. And strangely enough, the genetic stock with which the founding Australians share mostly, being from, they were just Poms. Well, worse still, whinging Poms. The Poms get very upset when they come out, oh, I can't understand, well, aren't they Aussies? Well, that's Australia, mate. And at the workplace, it was John the Pom, the Spick, the Kraut, the Dago, the Bung, the fucking whatever. That's what it fucking was, man. This is Australia. And now they want to cancel us because someone called me a wog. This is what we're, but I'm getting off topic. It's not what the March of Australia is about. And the man that raised the most smiles in Adelaide on the March of the 31st had a Chinese face. He fucking smart bugger walked in with the blow up Aussie koala. He was 7 foot tall and he had this little Chinese face sticking out at the bottom where the beak was. So nobody gave him a hard time. There were a few people of colour, not many. Thanks. I just hope I brought some common sense here. Thank you.
All right. Cheers, Constant. We got Nobody's Take, and then back to Central, then Codex, and then we got Elizabeth and Amor. Amor was first, I think. So go, Nobody's.
Yeah, just in terms of assimilation, I guess what I see these days from migrants that come now is that they come here and consume our culture. They don't necessarily know anything about it from the past. Like my ancestor goes back to 1802, the 1830s. It's all founding stock. And someone mentioned founding stock before being up to 1920. Well, I think actually it can only be up to federation. Because without lineage to federation, you don't have any knowledge of how federation came about during that time. But back to how assimilation doesn't work is because, and a lot of them don't understand, for example, that Amor guy before, is that your culture is being stripped away as well by this system. It's being reduced to a festival, trinkets at markets, a light festival. Your culture will be disintegrated by this beast system that we're living under too. It's not
Albo isn't Australian values. Albo is a Fabian socialist values. The other side is the growth lobby, American consumerist culture. That's the Liberal Party. And they're both reducing us in this uni party to nothing. Now, the problem is, I think a lot of people don't see, is that when there are no Australian values, once the founding stock is erased, what values are there? And if your culture is also being reduced to nothing, then you only have the values of the elite. So all you have left is this plethora of people that are just compliant to the system. They don't know their heritage, they don't know their roots, they don't know Australia before 1975 when multiculturalism came in. Now, Elizabeth was talking before that she's Jewish, and people were laughing at her because she's Jewish. But you need to understand that multiculturalism came about from a German Jewish refugee who saw that his culture was assimilating and marrying out to Australians. And he didn't want that. So he got into Whitlam's government, got into the committees, and pushed this multiculturalism crap so they could preserve Jewish ethnicity. And what did that in turn do? It allowed everybody else in the future to preserve their ethnicity in our country by living in ethnic enclaves. And that is what we're dealing with today. We're dealing with ethnic enclaves that gather around and protest Palestine and Harris Park full of Indians. And they take over slowly, street by street. I was living out in Western Sydney about a year or two ago, and the year I lived there, about 5 different Indian families came to that street, which were once Aussie flag waving Australian families. And all they do is they stand in the street all night, cooking, talking, they block your driveway with all their Camrys, they don't care. And like someone said before, you stay at home. White people don't go outside when this happens. So a lot of people like that work from home thing. White people want to stay at home because deep down they don't feel welcome by going outside. And I find myself now avoiding places that I used to go to because these Indians and other cultures that consume our culture, like I'm saying, for example, a lookout. You've probably all seen that ad with the bridge across the water. What's that called? Stanwell Park. The great. I don't know. It's in all the car ads.
I know the exact one.
Yeah. So that used to be a place I went when I got my license from 16. And now you go there and it's just literally Indian families everywhere. They're noisy, they throw rubbish on the ground, they talk loudly. Whereas that is a Western, we have a lookout. There's a plaque there saying, I dedicate this lookout to God. This is what God gave us. That is a Western thinking. Someone else from a different culture is not going to assimilate. They're not going to stand there like with a Western brain and think this is a beautiful lookout. They're going to be there because it's something to do, and our house out west is too small, so I'll bring my 10 families here and just throw trash everywhere. Like we saw that video yesterday of them throwing trash in the river. They're consuming our culture, and our culture is that nature. And now I can't do it without going to some obscure place. Anyway, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to say. One more thing, sorry.
Yeah, go on.
Constant, he was saying that he's Greek, but Greek works because some of our societal framework stems from Greek lineage. So that works, but there's no Palestinian framework in any of our law, culture, or anything like that. There's no Muslim framework in that. So they don't work because they don't think like us. We think completely different, and that's why assimilation doesn't work. Well, it works with Europeans and Greeks, yes, but it doesn't work with Somalians, it doesn't work with Indians, it doesn't work with Pakistanis. They can stand there and wave 2 flags at the same time, but they can never wave our flag, knowing that their convict or free settler came in the 1800s and worked on a road here, became an Australian.
Yeah, mate. Well said. Well said, bro. No, you go dead set.
Yeah, just quickly. I've got a couple of requests for mics. If anyone's already had a say, did you just want to drop down, maybe?
Yeah,
Mate, we got hands galore as well.
kick me off, man. I'm good. I'll jump back up later. That's Kev.
No worries, mate. Cheers for that.
Oh, then we had Central. I think we'll go Central, Codex, and then back to Amor, Elizabeth, then Constant's got his hand up again. We'll try to keep getting through it. All right, go Central.
I'll keep it really quick and I'll drop down myself unless you know I'm needed to jump back up for whatever reason. But I do believe that the ethnic identity of Australia, what Australian means, needs to be outlined. Yeah, as racial realism and a few others said, in my opinion, is to the Indigenous and founding stock. And I will add on nobody's take. I agree with everything you said, brother. I'm trying to be a good boy tonight. But yeah, I do believe that ethnicity and citizen do need to be outlined strictly in definition, purely because we need to preserve what we are. And I was looking a bit into consensus at one point this year, and I'll dive into it again and maybe write something about it later. But the actual identity, like the ethnicity identification part of the consensus, a lot of people, and rightly so, my granddad ticks the Scottish box. A lot of people in here may tick the English or European box or whatever. We've got to start ticking the Australian box because at the end of the day, all of these other types that I like calling out all the time. What do you think they're ticking? It's usually Aboriginal or Australian or both. So something to think about. It's important that we preserve not only ourselves, but our identity as well.
Yeah, for sure, bro. 100%. Codex, you're up, bro.
Yeah, I just wanted to respond to a couple of things people said. Like somebody was saying that we're going to get bred out in a generation or two anyway, and if people didn't want that, the only thing you can do is go have 5 kids. Our total fertility rate in this country is 1.6. Even if every woman, every Australian white woman was just pregnant 24/7, we could not keep pace with the rate of migration that we're getting hit with. Like if you look at, like I've seen statistics by Matt Barry, Leif Van Onselen that they've been putting out where the rate of migration that's going into a lot of these areas, especially the specific ones that Labor's targeting to swing, is 6,000 times what the natural population growth is. Like 6,000%, sorry. So unless every woman's going to pop out fucking 60 kids, we cannot outbreed mass migration. It's just that high that it's impossible. The other thing is I hear people talking about assimilation. You would get called racist if you mentioned that word anywhere in academia or government. There is no expectation at all of assimilation. Assimilation policy went out in the 70s and it is never coming back. The government now is making a department of multiculturalism to back up its multicultural policy so that the migrants that come here can practice their own culture in this country. There is no expectation that they will assimilate. They're going to have their own Hindu speaking schools, Chinese speaking schools, Arab speaking schools. They've got, go look at a map and just type in Hindu temple or mosque or synagogue. There's fucking tons of them. And they will be practicing their own parallel cultures to us, to the point where a lot of them now they walk around, they don't even fucking speak English because there's just so many of them that they don't have to. They can have their own culture here. They don't need to assimilate with us at all. And the final point that Amor guy or whatever, I mean, he said that he came here as a student and he's got the citizenship. Like to him, he just wants to study and he wants to be a citizen. Like it's an economic zone to him and all these migrants. They do not give a fuck about this country. It's just a way for them to get handouts and give me that, and they can have their better life Like the guy that was from the Congo, he just wanted to come here and have a better life. Well, what about my better life that I had before this country got fucking flooded by black people? Do I get to have that? No, because we don't matter to you. This is just an economic zone for you to come here and be a student and get a job and have your better life. We don't fucking matter. And I think that it's time that we start making our voices heard and say, yeah, we do matter, and we never fucking consented to any of this shit at all. We were never asked, and it's being forced on us. Like, if they think that multiculturalism and mass migration is such a great policy, then take it to a fucking referendum. Let's fucking vote on it and see what people say, because I think that it would absolutely fail. But they will never, ever, ever fucking do that. Even, the political parties, we can choose between mass migration or 15% less mass migration was what we had last election. What a fucking choice that was. We don't get to choose to stop it. We don't get to choose to send any of them back. Like, that's not a choice we even get to pick. If we did get to pick, people would pick to stop it, but we don't get to do that. And we won't get to do that unless we keep protesting until they fucking take us seriously.
Yeah, you raised some good points there, Codex, mate. So yeah, well said. Oh, we'll let them all respond to that if you want, and then we got Constant, and then who's legit.
Just quickly, I got to dip out. My battery's running low.
Uh,
Catch us later.
Thanks, Jess. And I think what I love about these conversations that we can disagree, agree, and understand like some people like have different like opinions. But myself, what I'm saying, I love this country. I love Australia. And when I saw the March for Australia, and I thought like everyone who really love this country and who respect the rules and just the culture, and then yeah. So, and if anyone just, I, I've been resisting like to, and that's why I started with those questions, uh, because what I believe, even if like a black man or a Muslim, Australia needs allies. Even if you don't see like people like me or other migrants as fully Australian, that they will never become Australian, even if they like embrace the Australian values, as Matthew I think rightly said. At least this country needs allies. So you need African countries. You need like those Asian countries. There's no such a country, like no country exists as an island. So Australia
Of
is
course,
not
we
an
need
island.
allies though, but we don't need them flooding our population with their population. That's a ridiculous concept. But no, anyway, sorry, continue.
Yeah, thanks, Jess. I respect your opinion, but what I was saying, I think you are making like much for Australia inaccessible. Like this beautiful country that I think everyone should embrace its values, and even the citizenship, like itself, like the oath we take. It really said that we should like before you take that off, you should embrace those values. And I don't agree that people like me or someone else um, that they shouldn't feel like Australian because they were not born here. So yeah, Jess, do you want to say anything? Like I can stop.
Yeah, look, no, it's fine. Like I get what you're saying, but and the March for Australia is not really about that. Codex is 100% right. Our people, the English, Anglo-Celtic white Australians have been so disenfranchised, so browbeaten and beaten down and told we're criminals. We've had so many foreign agendas on our land. March for Australia is about letting Australians have a voice for once and fly our own flags in our own streets. Like, if you, as we've said in the space, if you want to come along and not be hostile and not fly foreign flags, it's a public place. You can come along, but what you can't.
I never
Yeah,
feel. Yeah. Sorry.
this is about the Australian people standing up against mass immigration and protecting our heritage and culture, and that's what it will always be about. People have their different reasons for coming. I understand your opinion and your point of view on it, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, we have been beaten down as a people. We have been told and brainwashed that we are some kind of evil colonizers, and our people have been put last for so long. And March for Australia is about Australians standing up for Australians for once, and it will remain that way, and that's how it is.
Can I just respond as well, please? This dude's saying like we need allies, we need African countries, and then Jesse's saying that we're called evil colonizers, which we are. Like you can't have it both ways. I mean,
We're
if you
not either,
want,
though.
we
Don't
can
call us
go.
all one. Don't taint us all
We,
the same.
We're
we
not
can go
interrupting. We're not interrupting. No interruptions.
back to Africa and reestablish the British Empire. I mean, is that what you want? Do you want us to recolonize you, to bring in all the brown people, look after you, administer your lives for you? Is that what you fucking want?
But
Because
England,
that's what it is that we actually have to look after all these fucking brown people over in Britain, Ireland, Canada, the US. Is we're just babysitting you. You come here for your better life and we provide all these opportunities for you, but then you want to fucking, oh no, you're not allowed to be racist, you can't be colonizers. What about the Aboriginal people? Well, fucking, why don't we just bring back the British Empire and you can be our subjects and you can be part of all of it. Let's do that. I mean, you don't get to have it both ways, where you don't want to be colonized and you want to decolonize everything, but then you come over here and fucking colonize us. Go be in Africa. You were given your freedom to have a life there, and you don't want it. You want our life. It's fucked up. You need to get your priorities straight, buddy.
just can I respond?
Yeah, you can respond, but then we got heaps of hands. So yeah, just respond, and then I
Awesome.
think we have.
I'll be so quick, and I think
Yeah.
don't get angry, mate. I'm just like really participating in this conversation to learn about this movement. But also, when we talk about colonization, I think Africa, and if you guys believe in science, we all just originated from Africa. So don't go that path because you may lose the argument. So England came to Africa, they took our resources, and I didn't come here to claim those. I just came here to embrace, love Australia, and I love this country. And if
Well, Australia didn't take any resources from you. Like you did come here to claim those because you have this revenge victimhood mindset where you're coming. England came to you and you were colonized, so now you can come and colonize us and take for yourself, and you
I
love
can
this
tell
country,
you,
so it's your country.
you wouldn't
It
afford
isn't.
to,
It's
you
ours.
wouldn't afford, you have taken, like, England has taken so much from Africa that you can't even think about. You can't afford to pay me back. And actually, if you were to pay me back, I would pack my bag and go back and live like a very, like,
So
luxurious
can I
life.
just interrupt? So are you now saying that you want reparations from English people? Like this took a very quick turn.
No. What I'm saying, Jess, because he's talking about colonization, and we know, like, from a colonial, like, perspective, Africa has not colonized any country. So he just mentioned the colonization, and we know that from science. If you guys believe in science, the origin of humanity was in Africa.
Well, I kind of refute that premise as well, but also he's using the word colonize as, correct me if I'm wrong, Codex, but as a metaphor for the mass immigration. You guys are settling in our lands post-industrial, and that's what Codex is using the word colonize to demonstrate.
Just one more, like, really, like a question, like a general question for everyone, right? So for me, I work my ass up like every single day, and I pay like tax. I have helped this, like, build this country. And you guys were saying, like, how many years do I have to wait before I become like an Australian? How much do I have to contribute so that I know? Because, like, someone said that the accent cannot get me there. What actually can get me there?
Just contribute more than you take. That's all you have to do. Contribute more than you take. That's all.
I don't.
Apologies, that's
I
Matthew Clark
actually
speaking.
contribute-
Matthew
I
Clark
actually
is not a
contribute more
real
than I take.
Australian. More,
What?
you need to evolve. 2 million years.
Hang on, guys. We've got to stop interrupting each other, please. We can keep this civil. We got obviously a few different opinions in here. But yeah, we'll just try keep it civil, and we'll get through the hands. We'll let Codex in the more and that keep having it out, and then we'll go. I think we had Constant, then Elizabeth, and then Legit is in there. So, and then Codex as well. Obviously, still has his hand up, but let's try not to interrupt, guys.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of migrants say that they work and they pay taxes. Like you do the bare fucking minimum of civic responsibility and act like that it's some gift to us. We don't need you here paying taxes or working. Most of you are, are a net negative. you take more out of the system than you ever contribute in your lives. And if you were so great at working and paying taxes, why couldn't you do that back in your own country? Like, it's always how skilled and wonderful the migrants are and how much they enrich us, but they can't fucking enrich themselves back in their own country. It's only once they come here and touch our magical soil and reap the benefits of what we built that they're able to contribute less than they pull out. And this is some boon that we have to be so fucking grateful for. Wow. What would we ever do without you here?
All right, we'll go to Constant, then Elizabeth, then Legit. And then Antonio's back in here as well. Sorry, Antonio, I didn't see you down there.
Wow, I was itching. I could say so much, but the problem when you let in so many minorities, everybody resists, assimilation. They don't want to. Nobody does, and that's why you see, the Greeks try hard to preserve their language. Marry a Greek girl, right? This sort of thing, right? And you will do it too with your children. And when the government, what they're actually doing now, instead of attempting to assimilate, which is an impossibility, it's a lie, really, assimilation, if you let in significant numbers, because they will maintain their culture, they will maintain their ethnicity, they will view you as the other. And when you say, you couldn't pay us back enough, you said those words to him as an Englishman, you realise you're talking to possibly the children of coal miners, the grandchildren of coal miners, prisoners, 7-year-old coal miners. You realise you're talking to some of their descendants here. I could ask for what is owed to me as of Greek descent. Do you know that they used to take armies, the Turks, tens of thousands, 7-year-old boys, the prettiest ones in the village they'd grab and turn them into bisexual soldiers known as Janissary. Who's going to give me my Gibbs? Where's my reparations? 400 years they were doing that to the Greeks. You don't have to know much about history to know that. And the absurdity is that now, imagine a Palestinian flag on the street in Australia marching next to a Israeli flag. So we've got these two minority interests, right? And they're both demanding fealty from us, right? This is what's going on. We've got thumbs down. She's not demanding fealty. She's the Jewish faction, and you got the Muslim faction.
Actually, Christian.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said you were Jewish earlier. Yeah.
I am, but I'm Christian.
Oh, we got Christian Jews, we've got atheist Jews, we've got Muslim Jews, right? They're all over the place. So hang on, love. We know the deal. Yeah. But, anyway, I do not represent the voice of this march. We've had many varied opinions in here, and yours is one other, and you've been lamenting the position of the Burundian man, Who's going to lament? What about some Gibbs for the Khoisan? Who will give them reparations? You know what happened to the Khoisan in Africa. What about them? The Anglo didn't kill them, did they? Would you like to tell the people about the genocide of the Khoisan in here and what they're owed?
It's a good point, though, Constant, because history is riddled with the blood of innocent people. Every single person has been a subject to horrific atrocities, and a lot of people have their ancestors have also committed horrific atrocities, and that's just the way
that's right. Every tribe has encroached upon their neighbour, and we're. Oh, geez, I forgot where else I was going to go. Sorry.
No, you're right. We'll go to hands then. We had I think Legit, and then MCon, Elizabeth, and then Matthew.
Keep putting me back. First I was after him, now
that's where I was going. Apparently it's a war crime to intentionally replace a population, right? Effectively, we are being replaced through, economic means, political, social. Our children are choosing to remove themselves from the gene pool. They're saying it, I can't afford to have children. right? And yet we're importing other people. If this could be the only thing missing from that formula to make it a war crime is to show that it's done with intent. And if I were conspiratorially minded, I could point that way. This same conversation is happening in Ireland, in Greece, in Sweden, in Norway, in Denmark, in Spain, in France, in England, in Ireland, in Wales, in Scotland. Too many whites, right? This is the first Premier of Scotland. Too many whites, right? If you can believe that. Is this happening in Burundi, or are they singing "Kill the Boer, kill the farmer"? Right? Our politicians dare not even repeat those words here. We are unrepresented, and I do not speak for March for Australia, but I'm not represented. Right? The biggest threat to our national security, according to ASIO, is white supremacists. A man that would want to see the continuation of his gene. Right? The biggest threat to our national security. And these sort of words are echoed by all our quote unquote representatives in all those nations I mentioned earlier. What is happening, dude?
Yeah,
Thank
well
you.
said. I think we're touching on some important topics here. So we'll go. Elizabeth was next, I think, then Legit, and then MCon, then Matthew. So go on, Elizabeth. What do you got?
So what's going on here, and I can explain it really quickly, and it's understandable, and it is 100% factual. So the immigrants that we're getting in now from India, if you remember that there was a war between Pakistan and India recently, and it was over Muslims attacking the Indian people. The Indians that are coming here are actually Muslims. And everyone needs to answer, why is it the white people being attacked? Why are we being singled out? And I know the answer, but I'm not going to say because it's going to cause a lot of trouble. But it's disgusting. It's their ideology over in Africa, over in the Middle East, over in Asian countries. Even China's starting to look at Islam.
All right.
And they're doing a lot of deals with the Middle East as well. It's their ideology that are killing women and children, and they're coming here to steal jobs. They're coming here to steal the women, to force their ideology onto people, and it's disgusting. It's not okay. And my 7-year-old son this year, right, came home from school, and it's a Christian school. Yes, we have African immigrants there because the government forces us to be diverse. And a kid turned around and said to him, white people were evil. He came home and he's like, Mom, did you know white people are evil? And I just looked at him and went, what? And he thought that I was angry at him, and I wasn't. Because it wasn't his fault for what he said. And so I had to go to the principal and tell the principal, this kid has said that white people are evil. And I had to explain to my son that we're not evil, sweetheart. We're not the evil ones. So, and trust me, in the Bible it says, don't slander Greeks and Jews. So to my friend Constant, I don't know if he's there anymore, we're on the same page here. We're all on the same page. We're from so many different cultures that don't believe this ideology, that are causing all the problems. The Italians love it. The Catholics love it. The freaking, Albert loves it. He's Italian. Freaking how much aid does he give freaking to Gaza every year? He's freaking even giving aid to the Ukraine war at the moment, which is killing a lot of white people. And people aren't realizing, oh crap, that's what the problem is. So we're not the problem here. We have rights. We have humanitarian rights. We deserve rights. And I'll be damned if I'm going to let some freaking Italian, Roman, German, Nazi, socialist government try and stop me from living and trying to stop the rest of us from living. And I don't care if you got your thumbs down. You're part of the problem.
Anyway, Constant's not here to speak for himself, but I don't know how he'd feel about being lumped in the same category as all that. Anyway, we had Legit. Legit was up. Hey, no interrupting, please, Elizabeth. We had Legit.
Yeah, well, I get interrupted now.
Next.
So.
You keep
Elizabeth, shut up. Seriously. No, hold on, Jesse. Can I say something now, Jesse? Elizabeth, shut up. Seriously, you've been told to shut up multiple fucking times.
I've removed her. She keeps interrupting. We had, you go back, but then we had Legit next. But go on back.
All I was going to say is I haven't been fucking listening properly because I've been in with the baby, but I'm getting messages saying that fucking Elizabeth just is interrupting and fucking whatever. And then she starts fucking punching right as soon as I freaking can hear properly. And she's interrupting nonstop, so she can fuck off. Anyways, yeah, I'm back now, but whoever's next, I don't know who it is.
Yeah, it's legit, and then
It's me.
legit MCon. Then it was Matthew, and then Bailey, and then Amor has got his hand up again.
Cheers, legends. Beck, Jesse's doing everything he can. It's just fucking people talking over the top. It's all good. Hi, legends. Cannot wait for the next March for Australia in Brisbane. The last event was fucking amazing and the most patriotic thing I've ever done in my life. And I loved every second of it. So I cannot wait for the next one. I'll be there with bells on. Now, I want to propose something to you all that may or may not fix this. In 1969, my parents came out from Sri Lanka. Now, my mum had to stand up in front of the Australian consulate and prove that she and the family were from European descent. And they were let into the country. They came here legitimately. They had to prove that they were European, which they were able to do legally. And I was born into the most magnificent country around the world. This is what we fucking need right now. We need to bring that shit back. Harold Holt got rid of it in the 1970s, and it was the most beautiful environment to live in. I was born in the late 70s, early 80s, and had the most incredible childhood. And let me tell you this, my parents said to me, "You are Australian. You do not fucking do anything other than be an Australian. You live in this country. We adopt all the values of this country." And I am so thankful for that. We lived on fuck all. My parents had nothing. And we fucking came here and I was told to assimilate and I did. And I fucking love everything about it. I've got kids here, married a beautiful Australian man, and we just love this country. And I'll be damned. I'm going to fight for the fuck out of this country because I walked into that March for Australia in Brisbane and everyone asked me, "Where are you from?" I said, "Mate, I was born in this magnificent country. I fucking love it. I love all of it." And I am so proud of the crowd that were in Brisbane. And how beautiful this country is. And I'm sorry, Amor, no. This country is one flag, one Australia, one culture. That is it. I don't care what country you come from. You come here and assimilate like everybody else has done. Because I'll be damned if I'll be pointed with that same fucking brush that all of these pricks from other countries want to bring on their laws. So fuck you all. I'm not interested. I love Australia. I love this country. I was born here, and my beautiful country and my children are going to enjoy every second of it. And come to March for Australia, it's going to be amazing. Go Brisbane. Hey, Bender.
Yeah, I was going to say sorry to everyone with the hands up. The organisers get the priority, so we'll go to Bailey, and then if Bender has something to say, but then we got MCon, Matthew, and Amor. So go on, Bailey, you go.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump up and say I'm not sure if she's even still in the space anymore, but Jess, you're either white or you're Jewish. You can't have both, especially when you say you're Jewish and Christian. You can't. There's either one or the other. You're either Jewish or you're white. And that's all I wanted to say, really. Thank you.
Yeah, cheers.
That was to Elizabeth. I think.
Yeah,
Billy,
Elizabeth.
Yeah, Billy said Jess.
My bad. I meant Elizabeth.
I was going to say Jess definitely ain't
you're
a
right.
Jew.
All right. I don't know if Bender had anything to say, but if not, then MCon's up.
Yeah, g'day guys.
I just came in to play with the Zio cuck, but she's gone.
Oh, too easy. Yeah, go on, MCon. You're up, bro.
Yeah, okay. I'm looking at this a little bit different, I guess. I'm not going to hit the race thing or anything like that. I don't want to. Don't feel like going there. Got other shit to fucking worry about. Okay, bottom line is, do you want to win or don't you? That's the question. Do you want to win or don't you?
Everyone wants to win.
Right. Okay. Well, then I think why don't we just stick to the fact that we have so much infrastructure in this country, we don't have enough room for any more people. Let's just keep it simple, short and sweet. Stop the immigration. End of story. Worry about the racial crap later.
I mean, it all kind of intertwines with each other though at the same time. But yeah,
I don't
I
think
get
so
your
because you
sentiment.
can always, sorry, Beck, I don't think so because you can always deal with that later. Okay, look, at the moment, the biggest problem we've got is the fact that we've got all these people coming here. Those people that are coming here, I can't even blame them. I can't even bring myself to blame them. It's our government that's doing it. Our biggest problem that we have right now is the government because the government's the one doing it. It's not the people that are coming here. Yeah, sure, we might not want them here. Okay, some people might not want them even more. Right. But the point is that the government is doing it. It's doing it to us. They are the problem. We need to change the government. Otherwise, it's only going to get worse. And in another couple of months, in December, we'll be lucky if we're going to be able to talk on the bloody internet like we are right now. We need to start getting ourselves back on track. We can deal with this problem of mass immigration on basically the fact that if you've got a pizza, you can only feed so many people with it. We only have so many pizzas.
I somewhat agree with you, and I said this earlier on, but I'll say it again. Yes, it is government policy that needs to change. And yeah, I can't blame the people for wanting to come here either. Australia is a beautiful place, with plenty of opportunities. So many, well, it did have plenty of opportunities until we started taking so many immigrants. But like I said earlier on in the space, if you are coming here, you're coming here for a better place, right? So respect the place that you live in. I'm sorry, but it doesn't only just come down to policy change. It also comes down to the people that chose to come here and then treat our country like a fucking piece of shit and stomp all over it and kill our people, rape our people, freaking abuse the country. Like I get it. It sort of is just the government, but that's where it comes into, well, obviously we're going to have issues with certain demographics when they're the ones running around with freaking machetes in their hands.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree that we have issues with certain demographics, but it isn't all of them, is it?
It's a large majority, yeah. Per capita matters. And this is
Yeah,
where
I'm not
it
saying
comes
it
down to
doesn't.
it.
All I'm saying is that, yes, we've got these issues. The government isn't doing anything about it. Why do you think they're not doing anything about it? Why do you really think they're not doing anything about it?
Well, it's because it's part of the plan. It's part of a grand plan. And,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. They don't give a shit. We know they don't give a shit. It isn't going to change. They don't give a shit what we think even. The only thing that might change is that if you can get enough heads out on the streets all at once, and not just one day and 1 month, every bloody day. Every bloody day. The guys up in Mackay, I watched them the other day, and I live 500 k's inland, right? So I was in Mackay a couple of weeks ago. They were still handing out flyers and stuff. They were still doing something. They were marching up and down the street. Okay, they're doing something every day. We need to be doing something every day. We need to be doing something that actually makes that people will actually look at and go, holy shit. That for as long as they can call us racist and crap, they've got their little out because the mass media will just mass produce that. And everybody that is a normie that isn't even thinking, because most of them aren't, right, are just going to look and go, there's a bunch of racists going down the street. Well, we need to make it not racist, the argument. The argument can be solved completely on the fact that we only have so much to give out. We can't keep taking any more. That doesn't matter what colour they are, doesn't matter what it is at the moment. I'm not saying that these people aren't making an issue when they come here and they're not assimilating. Of course, if they're not assimilating, they're a problem, okay? I believe in total assimilation. I don't believe in someone being an Italian Australian or a Greek Australian or a Slav Australian at all, right? You're either Australian or you're not. Once you come here, if you come here and you get citizenship, you are Australian. Okay, if you think yourself still an Italian Australian, then you're not really an Australian and you didn't really take the oath you're supposed to take. All right. So all I can say is that we can win if we keep it short and simple, keep it